Fitzroy Maclean, the SAS officer who really penetrated Stalin's Soviet Union. Why Dennis Wheatley's The Forbidden Territory got it wrong, and why the truth is more remarkable. As a boy, I devoured Dennis Wheatley's The Forbidden Territory, published in 1933. It had everything: secrecy, courage, clandestine crossings, and the intoxicating idea that a handful of determined friends could penetrate the Soviet Union in the 1930s, outwit its security services, and spirit one of their own to freedom. It was thrilling and almost entirely fictional. Yet, years later, while reading memoirs rather than novels, I stumbled across a story that was, in some ways, more extraordinary than Wheatley's invention. Not because it involved rescues or sabotage, it didn't, but because it actually happened. The protagonist was Fitzroy Maclean, a British diplomat in the late 1930s, and later one of the most famous Special Air Service officers of the Second World War. Before he ever jumped behind enemy lines, Maclean had already carried out something astonishing. He had travelled deep inside Stalin's Soviet Union at the height of the Great Terror and lived to tell the tale. The Forbidden Territory: Fiction versus Reality. Wheatley's novel belongs to a long tradition of interwar adventure fiction, the belief that courage, disguise, and audacity could still crack open closed societies. In the 1920s, this idea had not seemed entirely absurd, but by the 1930s, the Soviet Union was no longer porous or chaotic. It had become something else entirely. This reality had been proven brutally in 1925 when Sidney Reilly, the so-called ace of spies, attempted one last penetration of Soviet Russia. Lured in by what he believed was an underground anti-Bolshevik network, Reilly was in fact walking into an Ogpu deception operation. He was arrested, interrogated, and executed. Reilly's death was a warning shot. By the mid-1920s, romantic notions of espionage inside the USSR had vanished. And yet, a decade later, Fitzroy Maclean managed something that no fictional hero could plausibly have pulled off. Enter Fitzroy Maclean. Maclean arrived in Moscow in 1937, officially as a junior British diplomat. He spoke fluent Russian, moved confidently, and, crucially, was not posing as something he wasn't. This mattered. By the late 1930s, the NKVD, which had replaced the Ogpu as the Soviet state security apparatus in 1934, was ruthless, but also cautious. Arresting a British diplomat was not the same as eliminating a deniable agent. The consequences were diplomatic, not merely internal. Maclean exploited this narrow margin with extraordinary skill. He was not an agent in the romantic sense. He did not recruit networks, plan sabotage, or attempt rescues. Instead, he practiced a far subtler art: penetration by observation. Travelling through Stalin's empire. Against expectations, and often against regulations, Maclean travelled widely across the Soviet Union, and especially Central Asia. Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, including the cities of Samarkand and Bukhara, travel across the Kazakh steppe, parts of the Tajik and Kyrgyz republics, regions unsettled by collectivization and its aftermath. These were not places foreigners were meant to see, especially in 1937-1938. Yet Maclean saw them. He spoke directly to ordinary citizens. He watched officials falsify statistics. He sensed the atmosphere of fear that permeated even casual conversation. He noted the silence that followed any political question. What makes this remarkable is not that he travelled, but that he was allowed to return. Others had tried to enter the Soviet Union clandestinely and failed catastrophically. Maclean entered openly, pushed boundaries confidently, and relied on a mixture of bureaucratic confusion, diplomatic restraint, and personal nerve. This was not adventure fiction. It was a tightrope walk across one of the most dangerous intelligence environments on Earth. Why Maclean succeeded where others died. Maclean got away with it because he understood something Wheatley's heroes never do. 1. The Soviet system punished intent, not curiosity. Maclean never behaved like a conspirator. He behaved like an official who expected cooperation and often got it. 2. Fear paralysed local authority. Regional officials were terrified of making mistakes. It was often safer to approve a request than to question it. 3. Timing was everything. Maclean operated during a narrow window. After 1939, even this limited freedom vanished. Sidney Reilly had tried to beat the system head-on. Maclean flowed through it. From Diplomat to SAS. What makes this story resonate even more strongly is what came next. When war broke out, Maclean left the diplomatic service, joined the army, and eventually became one of the founding figures of British Special Operations, working closely with the SAS and conducting missions in North Africa, Yugoslavia, and behind German lines. Seen in hindsight, his Soviet experience looks like a rehearsal. Operating alone, navigating hostile environments, reading human behaviour under extreme pressure, understanding how authoritarian systems really function. Before he ever wore a beret, Maclean had already lived inside one of the world's most dangerous states, unarmed, unprotected, and under constant observation. Why this matters and why fiction endures. Dennis Wheatley's The Forbidden Territory was wrong in its specifics, but not in its instinct. The Soviet Union was mysterious, it was terrifying, and it did attract men who wanted to test themselves against it. What Wheatley imagined as daring rescues and secret crossings, Fitzroy Maclean achieved through discipline, patience, and nerve. And that makes his story more compelling, not less, because the truth is starker. Maclean did, and lived to fight another war. Epilogue. If Wheatley's novel is the last gasp of romantic espionage, Fitzroy Maclean represents the beginning of modern special operations thinking. Intelligence as observation, survival as success, and restraint as the highest skill. And that, perhaps, is the most SAS lesson of all. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Until next time.